Well, when you're in the studio with this group of people you've never played before,
Yeah.
and what is it like?
It's
How does
terrifying.
It feel?
It's terrifying. I had to stop a few times. I was nearly in tears. I was so nervous. I was really afraid that it wasn't going to happen. And it was literally the first day that I met them.
And what goes through your mind then? Do you actually think, well, maybe this won't work out
Yeah.
and I have to cancel the
Yeah.
entire album? Or
Yeah.
okay. I believe, well, that in the bio at least it said you were looking for songs that captured sadness.
No.
It said
No, vulnerability.
that-
There's a big difference between vulnerability and sadness.
I believe in the bio it says sadness, but vulnerability is fine as well. What was it about?
If that's a bio, I didn't write it.
Oh, that might be true.
Yeah.
That might be true.
So people shouldn't say what somebody's thinking. The thing about it is that when you have a group of men together, and I'm guilty of this also, you want everything to be perfect. You want it to be cool. You want to be strong,
Right.
you know, and you want to really perform. And sometimes when you do all that and you make everything sound really great and strong and perfect, you miss the most important thing, which is the vulnerability, the soul. Like if you hear Billie Holiday singing Strange Fruit, what you're getting is pure, raw, emotional vulnerability. It completely melts your heart. And you can't rehearse this. It's there. It's either there or it's not. And so I could tell these musicians were unbelievable. I could tell these guys were absolutely incredible musicians. It wasn't them that I was afraid of. It was me. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it. I was afraid that I wasn't good enough.
In what way?
As a singer.
Musically?
As a singer. I was really afraid that I wasn't good enough as a singer, because normally when I'm recording, I record myself first and then the musicians come in and follow me. There's very little risk in that for me. The only person I can really fuck up is myself. But when I'm actually in a room with four of us together, then that's quite frightening for me, because I don't think I'm a great singer. So that's what I was nervous of. I was afraid that I'd let down these guys, because these people, they took a risk coming into the studio with me. And that made me terrified also, because I don't have a record deal. I'm the one writing the checks, I'm paying for the recording, so all the risk is mine. But they have a risk also in playing with me, because of course. But I can only speak for myself. It was scary, but that made it beautiful. That exposed. I suppose it took a bit of courage to want to do this as a guy who comes from a folk world, and to make it dangerous. And we recorded it in such a way that the microphones were all open, so there was no possibility for auto-tuning or editing or anything like that. So it was like an old style recording, you know, that way, but it was new for me.
Okay, well, the album title is Head and Heart. Why did you pick this song to be the title?
I think for two reasons. I think one, because all acts of creativity need equal engagement of head and heart. If something has too much head, it's kind of dry and cold and intellectual and uninteresting. And if something is too much heart, it can be too emotional, too sentimental and weak. But if you get something that has a combination of both head and heart, then there's a possibility of something beautiful. And the other reason to choose this title, it's a tribute to the great John Martyn. The song, the title track is Head and Heart, was written by John Martyn, and it's one of my favorite John Martyn songs. And he was a great inspiration to me.
Okay. One final question, which is about a song you wrote yourself. It's the song Give You Wings. Now, on the previous record, you wrote a song that focused on the nuclear disaster in Japan. This one is about a bus crash in Switzerland, I believe. How do these songs develop? Because you like to write about Ireland, about things that happen around you, but does it happen when you see it on the news? How does it start from the first time it catches your eye or something?
It's different. Sometimes a song like this comes from a conversation. Maybe somebody talks to you. Like, for example, there's a song on my last album called You Survive, which is a song about people who survived suicide attempts. And that song came from a conversation I had with a woman in Ireland who told me her story of her own experience of surviving the pain of all that and the journey that she went. And the song is about survival. So that came from a conversation. In March 2012, I saw on the news, on television news, the story of the bus crash in Switzerland and the children who were killed and the devastation to the community. And I immediately found myself thinking of the parents. And so when something like that affects me, not always, but if I can, I try to write a song. But I'm not interested in writing a song about the disaster. I'm interested in trying to write a song about the survival of the people who are left behind. Because the tragedy has happened. The tragedy is over. The process of recovery is still alive. And that's what interests me.
Once you start writing, once the ideas start coming into your mind and you start writing, do you have something in mind in the sense of it eventually becoming a song for a record, or is it mostly to in a way vent your own?
It's very difficult.
Emotion?
It's very difficult. It's really difficult because these are not songs I ever want to write. I'd much rather write songs about just the first time ever I saw your face. You know, these are, because those songs just flow through you. These are very difficult songs because there's a lot of integrity involved, and you have to be very careful. You have to be very, very careful with a song like this, that you don't pretend you understand how somebody else is feeling. Because if I write a song about something that happens to me, that's my problem, and I can say whatever I like about that. But if I want to write a song about something that has happened to somebody else, I have to be very, very careful. Because it can sound patronizing, it can sound inappropriate in so many ways. And so it's a very subtle thing. It's a very subtle thing. It's even difficult to talk about it. I think what I try to do in a song like this is very quietly and very simply to try and honor the integrity of the people who are trying to recover. But I never pretend I understand what they are feeling, because I don't. I can't possibly understand. I'm a parent, and my sons are happy and alive and well. I can't for one moment pretend I understand what someone is feeling who's lost a child. I can't. But I can try to honor the journey that they are on in some way. And that's what I tried to do when I wrote the song.
Have you heard reactions?
Yeah, I have. I know that some of the parents of the children who died in that bus crash in Belgium have heard the song, and some of them have come to hear me perform the song in Leuven last year, and some of them have thanked me for writing it. I don't ask them. I don't need to know, because it's none of my business. That's none of my business. But I try to imagine how any parent might feel when they lose a child, how I might feel. And I try to paint it, which, as you can imagine, that's a song I don't want to write.
Obviously.
I don't want to write that song, but you try to.